Hi, Grant. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing spectacular. I'm not sure where to start. Let me start here. I was talking about the Hail Mary pass by Aaron Rodgers last night, and one of the keys is nobody's in front of him, and nobody was in front of the guy who caught the pass, Richard Rodgers. And I immediately thought of when you threw the pass to Christian Laettner against Kentucky, you didn't have anybody in front of you. How much of an advantage was that when you threw that pass that you didn't have some 7-footer with his arms up?
You know, Dan, it was a huge advantage. We had a play like that year, I think, at Wake Forest. Similar situation. I had to throw the ball the length of the court, and Wake Forest put somebody on the ball that obstructed my view and caused me to make a bad pass, and we weren't able to execute. So when I went out there, I still vividly remember that moment, getting to the baseline and realizing that, look, nobody's on me. And so there was a sense of relief, a sense of confidence that, okay, I can do this. And I was able to do it. And just like, last night, I guess the lesson is when you got two great arms, two great quarterbacks, you have to pressure them. You can't let them pick you apart. And Rodgers did it, and I was fortunate I did it years ago.
And then nobody was in front of Christian Laettner, and that made it easier, too, where he could, if all you had to do was get it to him, he was going to get it. They didn't want to run the risk of fouling him. Instead of having a 7-footer in front of Laettner, because that's the guy that, the go-to guy, the guy who hit all the big shots for you.
No, it's true. That's a great comparison, and you're absolutely correct. And, it's funny. I get to relive that moment, and I joke about my play and my arm and my pass, but Christian had the difficult task. But when you watch those Kentucky defenders, two guys on him, I mean, it's really just like matador defense.
Yeah.
They didn't prevent him from catching it. They didn't, really challenge the shot. It was almost like they were admirers or viewers, just like everybody in the spectrum that night. And I'm sure they sit back every March when they replay it and wish, man, if I had just done this or done that, maybe it'd have been a different outcome.
Did you guys ever reenact that play, you and Laettner?
You know what? We went back to Duke one year for a kind of a reunion of sorts. Excuse me. Allergies. And we had all the players that were.
I think just because you said
game.
Laettner, and then you're allergic to Laettner, I think is what just happened.
You know what? Hey, you got me in just so you know, you got me in trouble with my buddy Laettner years ago. We did this interview around March Madness. And I said, you said, was he a jerk? And I said, yeah, he was a jerk, but he was our jerk, and him being a jerk allowed us to be very successful. And later that summer, I saw Christian at the K Academy, and he was upset that I called him a jerk. And somehow either he read it or in the transcript in Sports Illustrated, or he was listening to your show. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is not the same Christian that I played with. He softened up a little bit, not quite as hard. And I said, look, Christian, I'm sorry for implying or insinuating that you were a jerk, but I definitely complimented you in the interview. And I said, so I apologize for that. But don't get it twisted. You were a jerk.
But do you see any parallels? Not that Laettner's talent with Kobe, but Kobe, by a lot of accounts, is that cutthroat guy, a jerk. He could come off as a jerk to other people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play with Kobe, so I've certainly learned you can't judge on what you see from afar. I obviously have, know very well guys who have played with him. I think Christian, was super competitive, much like Kobe. And Christian, I think his motivation ultimately was winning. And, so much is made about him and his personality. And do you love him? Do you hate him? Do you love Duke? Do you hate Duke? But he had an edge about him that he needed in order to be successful. And I enjoyed that environment. And he wasn't that bad to play with. We had a lot of fun. We had great memories. And Kobe. I mean, Kobe as well is known for that same kind of mindset. And, And so, yeah, there are some similarities there. And I wouldn't say their games are similar, but certainly their approach to the game is very similar.
Did you ever have one of those moments with Kobe where you went, I need some help out here?
Well, I think every time I guarded him in my Phoenix years.
Well, that was when you were the
30,
lockdown defender back then in your Phoenix years, right?
And go figure, I'm 38 years old with one ankle. I have the muscle has atrophied in the bad ankle. I mean, I'm out here and I'm the one guarding Kobe Bryant. Like, that was a little unfair right there. But I did enjoy in my Piston years when we both were young, the chances we had to compete. And really one of the best stories, 1998, during the lockout, I'm out in L.A. I go up to UCLA, the men's gym, to get some shots up by myself, thinking nobody's there. And Kobe's in there by himself. And we played one-on-one for like 3 or 4 games. And that was fun. Like, I remember that. And, at the time, he might have been 19, 20 years old. And what really impressed me was here we are in July, on a Thursday night in Los Angeles. And this kid is going all out. This kid is competing like it's a Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And so that was
cool.
One of the many memories we had. And, he got some on me. I got some on him. I don't remember who won. I'm sure I'll say I won. I'm sure he'll say he won. But just that was what I came away from that. Like, wow, this kid is something else.
Before I let you go, the former Dookie, Jahlil Okafor, and his troubles, what safeguards are there for teams? For a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, when you have money, you're not even old enough to get into a bar, and he's getting into street fights and driving 100 miles an hour. How much is this on Okafor, and how much is on the Sixers, Grant?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, in college, I think you can control your players a little bit more. They're in class. They have study hall, practice. They have weight training. So you really fill your day with a lot of activities and a lot of responsibilities. In the NBA, the real challenge for a team and an organization is, look, you have your players in some cases for an hour and a half, 2 hours for the entire day.
Yeah.
And what they do, the people they're around, the influences in their lives, the rest of the day is what you have to be careful of. And in Philadelphia's case, there's a lot of talk about the whole situation. They don't have a lot of veteran players. The losing obviously hurts. I've always said you combine celebrity, wealth, and youth, and that can be a dangerous mix at times. So I think the Sixers, Bill Duffy, his agent, are trying to take the necessary measures to prevent this from happening again. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Jahlil's a good kid. I've had interaction with him last year. I know his dad has got an awesome spirit about him. I think he can learn from this and be better as a result. He's got a lot of basketball left. There are people who've done far worse who've overcome and come back from it. And this is a life lesson that has been played out for him for the entire world to see. So, hopefully he can turn the corner and move past this. But I think the Sixers, bodyguards, security guards, player development staff, really trying to work with these young guys and trying to, teach them how to be a professional and how to act when they're away from the team.
Good to have you on again, Grant. You can see Grant Hill in an all-new episode of Inside Stuff this Saturday at 6:30 Eastern on NBA TV. Thank you, Grant.
All right, Dan. Thank you.
All right, Grant Hill.